Welcome to Chapter 10, where we'll explore the fascinating world of qualitative data analysis. Unlike quantitative analysis with its predetermined statistical test, qualitative analysis is more like detective work. You're looking for patterns, themes, and meanings in your data. This chapter will give you practical tools for analyzing interview data, observations, and other qualitative information. Today's objectives focus on the unique aspects of qualitative analysis. We're learning approaches that let data tell its own story rather than testing predetermined hypotheses. You'll gain practical skills for analyzing rich, complex, qualitative data and ensuring the credibility of your findings. This is the fundamental difference between qualitative and quantitative research. While quantitative researchers collect all their data before analyzing it, qualitative researchers analyze as they go. This allows them to refine their questions, pursue interesting leads, and stop collecting when they've reached saturation. It's a more flexible, responsive approach that lets the data guide the research process. These three practices show how qualitative analysis begins during data collection. Memo writing captures your thoughts and reactions as they happen. These memos become part of your analysis. Reflection and modification means you are constantly improving your approach based on what you're learning. Data saturation is the point where additional interviews aren't revealing new themes or patterns. You've captured the full range of experiences in your population. Grounded theory is probably the most popular qualitative analysis approach. The key word is inductive. You're building understanding from the ground up rather than testing existing theories. You start with specific things participants tell you and gradually build broader patterns and eventually theories. Do not be confused by the name. Grounded theory is a method for developing theories, not a theory in itself. Open coding is like taking apart a complex machine to see how it works. You're breaking down interview transcripts into their component parts, distinct ideas, experiences, or themes. Each type gets a name and often a color code for easy identification. When you notice that some codes are related, you can group them into broader categories with subcategories underneath. Seal coding is where you start seeing the bigger picture. You're looking for how the categories from open coding relate to each other. These relationships might help you understand the process or system underlying participants' experiences. For example, you might find that certain events typically happen before others, temporal, or that some experiences trigger specific responses, causal. Final stage brings everything together into a coherent understanding. The core category is like the main character in your story. Everything else relates to it. The process description explains how all the pieces fit together, often showing the conditions that lead to certain experiences or behaviors. You might create a diagram showing how different factors interact to produce the core phenomenon you're studying. Consensual qualitative research is an alternative to grounded theory that emphasizes teamwork and consensus building. Instead of one researcher analyzing data alone, a team works together to interpret findings. This approach reduces the risk of individual bias and brings multiple perspectives to bear on the data. An external auditor provides additional quality control by reviewing the team's work. Enumeration bridges quantitative and qualitative approaches by giving readers a sense of how common different things are without overwhelming them with statistics. These standard terms help readers understand whether an experience was universal, common, or rare among your participants. It maintains the qualitative focus on meaning while providing useful frequency information. Good quotations are at the heart of qualitative research reports. They let participants speak directly to readers. Representative quotes show typical experiences, while clear articulation ensures readers understand the point being made. Intensity matters because emotionally charged statements often reveal what's most important to the participants. Start identifying good quotes during analysis rather than scrambling to find them while writing. Credibility in qualitative research is like validity in quantitative research. It's about whether your interpretations accurately capture participants' experiences. Member checks let participants verify your understanding. Prolonged engagement gives you deeper insight into the context. Time sampling spreads your observation to capture different conditions. Triangulation uses multiple sources when different types of people tell similar stories. You can be more confident in your interpretations. Dependability is a qualitative research's version of reliability. It's all about consistency in your interpretation. Having multiple people code your data independently helps ensure you're not seeing patterns that aren't really there. When you use different types of data collection with the same people and get consistent findings, that strengthens confidence in your results. The goal isn't to eliminate subjectivity entirely, but to control for individual biases. These additional techniques add rigor to qualitative analysis. Peer debriefing brings in an outside perspective to check whether your interpretations seem reasonable. Auditing involves keeping detailed records so someone else can follow your decision-making process. Noting the range of responses ensures you capture both typical and unusual experiences. Discrepant cases, the ones that don't fit your main patterns, often provide important insights and prevent oversimplification. Planning qualitative analysis requires making several key decisions up front while remaining flexible as your research unfolds. Choose a general approach that fits your research goals and philosophical orientation. Select specific techniques based on your resources and the rigor required for your project. Plan how you will establish quality. Will you use member checks, multiple coders, triangulation? Consider whether you will work alone or with others. Finally, decide if you need qualitative analysis software, keeping in mind that different programs support different analytical approaches. Your qualitative analysis section needs to be more detailed than a quantitative one because there are more methodological choices to explain. Specify your general approach and specific techniques within that approach. Explain who will do the analysis, just you or a team. Describe how you'll ensure quality through credibility and dependability techniques. If you're using computer software, mention which program and why. The goal is to convince readers that you have a systematic, rigorous plan for making sense of your data. So let's summarize the essential principles of qualitative analysis. Remember that analysis begins during data collection, not after. Use a systematic approach rather than just winging it. This adds rigor to your research. Use multiple techniques to establish the quality of your findings. Plan specifically for credibility and dependability rather than hoping they will emerge naturally. Consider involving others in your analysis to reduce individual bias and document everything carefully. Good qualitative research requires transparency about your analytical process. As you develop your research proposal, use these guidelines to create a strong qualitative analysis section. Choose an approach that fits your research question and philosophical orientation and be able to justify that choice. Be specific about techniques while acknowledging that plans may evolve. Think realistically about resources. Qualitative analysis is time intensive, especially if you want to use multiple coders or extensive member checking. Plan for quality from the beginning rather than trying to add it later. Remember that good qualitative analysis requires careful planning just like quantitative analysis, but with different emphasis and techniques.